Asia, I think, is quite far advanced compared to many of the other developing country regions, particularly compared to Africa and Latin America. I know a lot about Africa, not so much about Latin America, but what I see in Asia, there's been quite a lot of progress on adaptation generally and also on adaptation in the urban sector.
Compared with other regions, we have to talk about first the trends. That depends on the countries, because Asia is a big continent, and you have to think about different administration, different way of thinking. And in my view, what is more, I think what is better picture, clear picture, is about how the people can get involved with this program, the climate change resilience. But what is the other side of the difference? Maybe it's more difficult to deal with the politics. In my view, politics may be the most critical and the most difficult step that we have to cross.
But I also think that Asia is probably the most dynamic place to be working in terms of climate adaptation. There are very sophisticated networks formed both regionally and within countries. There are government officials, there are members of the private sector, and many members of civil society who understand these issues probably more than any other place in the world. And it's very exciting, for instance, to see in Vietnam that almost everybody that you talk to already understands climate change, and they understand why we need to adapt. And so there are many opportunities in Asia, and very promising time ahead.
Well, Asia is quite clearly the fastest growing urban population in the world. The number of megacities are growing, the number of secondary cities are growing, and they're moving into areas that are quite vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Many of them are coastal cities, which are vulnerable to cyclones and typhoons. And so both vulnerability and adaptation are important elements of very fast growing demographic city and urban populations in this region.